Hi, this is Julie Hennrikus from Your Ladders. Your Ladders is an online business school built specifically for performing artists to help you do your work. I have an ongoing series called 5 Arts Thoughts, and today's topic is going to be about raising money. Now, whether you're a for-profit, a non-profit, an individual, or a group, chances are at some point you're going to have to think about raising money one way or the other. So here today are 5 tips for thinking about how to start in that process. Again, classes like in my money class and to a certain extent my marketing class, we talk about this in greater depth, and certainly in Footing Your Ladder we talk about how to build the business plan that can help you raise money. But let's talk about 5 things you should think about now as you're getting ready to raise some money. Number 1, how are other folks in your community raising money? Are they doing Kickstarters or Indiegogos? Do they have galas? Do they have parties? Do they have Pass the Hats? What are they doing? So follow along, try to learn from their success and glean whether or not it's working, and take some tips and tricks from the way other people are already doing it. Maybe you want to go in a different direction, or maybe you want to build on their success. Number 2, when you go to other events, read programs or look at signage and see who is sponsoring the events. If there's a local food vendor, or there's a bank, or there's somebody else who is constantly sponsoring these sorts of events, take note of those. They may be willing to sponsor all kinds of arts events, especially these are arts events that are like your arts events, right? So if you go to a huge theater company, that may not be where you're going to find your sponsorship package. But if you go to a fringe company and they have 4 people sponsoring their event, write those people down and start looking them up. They may be willing to sponsor your work as well. Number 3, check in with your local cultural council. Certainly your statewide cultural council, your city, your town, your county, whatever it is. They may have grants that they'll give to artists, so check that out. They also may have resources that they can point you to. They might have information sessions, or they might have somebody in the office you can make an appointment to talk about this very topic. You never know who in your community is also supporting local events, so that local cultural councils are a great resource. Number 4, is there a foundation in your community that seems to support the arts? Do they have an arts funding cycle? Look up on their site. Do they have info sessions? Go to those info sessions. I talk about this a lot in the money class, about how to reach out and how to build relationships. But let me tell you this right now. People give people money, so you need to connect with individuals. So a foundation is a foundation, but they're officers who are human beings. So reach out, see what you can do, add them to your mailing list, have conversations. If you don't get a grant, thank them anyway. Go to info sessions, all the stuff. We go into this in a lot more depth in the money class, but those are just some ideas right now for building relationships with foundations who may be willing to fund your size organization or your specific project. And finally, the last thing I want you to know or to think about is you don't need to be a nonprofit to apply for a grant. You can have a fiscal sponsor. So look that up on Google. See if there are fiscal sponsors in your community that you can go to. I don't suggest becoming a nonprofit right away because you can raise money, you can get grants. Running a nonprofit takes a lot of extra work, and it's a bigger conversation for another video at another time, I'm sure. But you don't have to be a nonprofit to get a grant. So look into fiscal sponsorships and see who does them in your community, and reach out to them to get information about how that works. So thank you so much for being part of this conversation. Money is a tricky conversation in the arts. I know you know that, but we need to talk about them so that you can figure out how to get the money in order to make your work. And it's not impossible. It's not easy. There aren't magic unicorns who are going to spit pots of gold at you, but there are ways that you can start attracting conversations or people who might be interested or thinking about this as you're looking for investors or funders, depending on what kind of model you're working on. Make sure that you subscribe to this YouTube channel, and also that you like Your Ladders on Facebook, you follow Your Ladders on Instagram, and you've gone to yourladders.com to check out the classes that I offer, to read the blog, and to sign up for our newsletters and updates. Thank you so much for listening to this video. I'll see you next time.